Something that everybody admires about Montessori curriculum is the numeracy part. Just like how Montessori literacy proceeds from teaching letter sounds first to letter symbols and names, Montessori numeracy also moves from concrete to abstract learning. In numeracy, what is concrete for the child is quantities and not the number symbols 1, 2, 3, etc. Dr. Maria Montessori really knew her thing when she designed the numeracy materials, and her methods have been proven to be very effective till date. Now, as everybody knows, the Montessori materials are quite expensive. I don't have all of the original Montessori numeracy materials at home. If you could buy them, that would be the best. But for others, I'll show you how I replicated these ideas for developing number sense using building blocks. I haven't strictly followed the Montessori presentation here, but I have extracted the essence and presented it to my son in my own way, and it has really helped him understand the concept. So, as I said, the children are not taught the number symbols first. It would be very confusing for the little minds to understand what these symbols and the words 1, 2, 3 mean. Instead, if you first start with the quantities, it would help to develop a concrete understanding of the numbers and number system. Including maths in daily activities like counting stairs, cookies, nuts, etc. will help the child to get a head start on this. Children who do not get this solid understanding struggle later with math. And developing this requires a lot of practice with the help of hands-on activities. There are different levels in a Montessori curriculum for teaching quantities and numbers to children, each level being more complex than the one below it. In the first level, you're giving meanings to the words 1, 2, 3 and so on, which they might already know through rhymes and other daily life scenarios, and show that they are actually denoting quantities. For this, the Montessori system uses large number rods, which are alternating strips of red and blue. This is the best way you can introduce the concept of numbers to your child. I'll show you a Montessori-inspired activity you can do with blocks to introduce this concept and also explain why the Montessori system uses this method and why it is the best. Here I've taken blocks alternating in colors and put them together in the form of towers to form different quantities from 1 to 10. In the Montessori method, the child is first asked to arrange all of them in increasing order of length. This would really help the child to see that each quantity is bigger than the one below it. Now you take 3 towers out of this and do the 3-period lesson with the child to teach the names of these quantities. In the first period, you take 1 tower at a time, touch each block by counting and say the last number you counted loud, like 1, 2, 3. This is 3. Do this with all the 3 rods.
2, 3. Yes, 3.
In the second period, you put all the 3 towers together and ask the child to point to a specific quantity. Repeat this with all the quantities many times.
Can you show me 4? Can you show me 5? Yes.
When the child is really good at recognizing the numbers, move on to the third period where you point to a quantity and ask the child to name it.
Okay, now what's this?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Since you are counting each block every time you introduce a quantity, you are reaffirming the sequence of the numbers to the child. Now what's important here is the quantities are fixed and not separated from each other. If we were to show them the blocks separately and count 1, 2, 3, they wouldn't get the idea that the last number counted is the total of all the quantities. That is, the child doesn't realize that 3 entities together make the number 3. They would just take it as 3 being the third quantity they counted. It would be very difficult for them to absorb this idea. They also wouldn't get the idea that 2 is bigger than 1 and 3 is bigger than 2. They would take 1, 2, 3 as mere words that they say in sequence. When the quantities are loose, it becomes very complicated for a beginner, which is why I chose blocks for depicting this. Here they can clearly see that when we say 2, it denotes a quantity that comprises 2 entities and that 2 is bigger than 1. In the next level, you teach the kids symbols for these quantities. Just like literacy, the Montessori method makes use of sandpaper numerals for this purpose. Again, I am having a DIY version of the sandpaper numerals like the ones we use for letters. This time I used a different method. I got some glitter foam sheets with sticky back from the stationery. I cut numbers out of it and made these touch and trace numerals. For those who haven't watched the tutorial on how to make touch and trace letters, I'll leave the link below. These are a multisensory approach of learning the number and letter symbols. You use 3 senses at the same time: sight, hearing, and touch. Again, I followed the 3-period lesson to introduce the symbols 3 at a time. In the first, I take a card and say the number, feeling it at the same time, and the child repeats after me, followed by the other 2 numbers.
2,
Yes. 3.
3,
Can
In the second, I keep all the cards together and ask the child to point to a specific number, like can you point to and feel 1, and so on. This period has to be the longest, and when you're sure that the child has got enough practice, move on to the third period, which is the testing level.
1,
Okay. What is this?
2,
What's this?
3,
Okay.
Now, when both the quantities and the symbols are introduced, you can move on to combining these two. For this, we take a few block towers and ask the child to match it to the corresponding number by counting. Here again, the quantities are not movable to make it easy for the child. This is the first level in the one-to-one correspondence counting.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So where's 8? Okay, now count this one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, now where's 5? Yes. Okay, see? You have counted all.
In the next level, you keep the symbols fixed and use movable quantities, making it a bit more complicated for the child. The child by now has a thorough knowledge of what numbers actually mean and is ready to work with movable quantities. So here I have my numbers and blocks corresponding to the total of all the numbers. To make this a self-correcting activity, I've drawn squares corresponding to the number for him to put the blocks. Now he'll know if he makes a mistake in counting.
1, 2, 3,
Okay, now what's the next number?
4.
Okay.
1,
Mm.
2,
Mm.
3,
Mm.
4.
Okay, now.
1,
Mm.
1, no, 4,
1. Mm.
1, 2,
Mm.
3,
Mm.
4,
Okay, now what's the next number?
5,
Okay.
1,
Mm.
2,
In the next level, we are going to use movable quantities and symbols. This is the most complicated level for the child. By now, the child would know the order of counting well. He has to first put the symbols in order and then find the number of blocks corresponding to each symbol.
2,
Okay.
3,
Okay.
4,
There are many activities that you could carry out to make this concept more clear. I'll hopefully do another video on that very soon. This video was for introducing the Montessori counting levels to you. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to click the like and share buttons. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.